हेलो
Hi,
क्या हाल
I'm good. How are you?
आई एम गुड ओके सो people are already tuned in and I've pinned down the question if people have any questions regarding legal laws and process for photography use and work of art being used in Pakistan. So let's start from you telling us about yourself and what area do you cover and what is intellectual property and what are the categories? Like very basic.
Okay. I'll try to keep it as basic as possible. My name is Minaam Karim. I am an advocate of the High Court in Lahore. Uh, Whereas in Pakistan, we don't specialize as such. It's more or less a jack of all trades kind of profession over here. So except for criminal law, we do more or less everything. However, I have done a lot of extensive work in intellectual property law. Now, in Pakistan, there are three main categories of intellectual property law. One is trademark. These are all your logos, all your favorite brands. There's patents, so on and so forth. And lastly, we have copyrights for all artistic work, and specifically artistic work in which we have a subcategory called photography. So for our purposes, purposes of this job, the relevant law is copyright law.
Okay. Okay. So so I think पाकिस्तान में बहुत सारे लोगों को ये इशू आता है कि जब वो अपना काम अब तो सोशल मीडिया आ गया जिसके बारे में हम बाद में बात करेंगे लेकिन किसी एग्जीबिशन में या किसी वेबसाइट पे कोई भी आर्टिकल के लिए काम उठा लेता है कोई भी न्यूज़ रिपोर्ट बनाने के लिए कोई काम उठा लेता है सो इसके अंडर बहुत सारी ऐसी चीज़ें आती हैं लाइक I got familiar with this term which is fair use for photos.
Yes.
So if you know if it is fair use, it's under fair use or it is stock photos जो लोग डाल देते हैं इंटरनेट के ऊपर उसके अराउंड क्या प्रोसेस होता है अगर वो कहीं यूज हो जाती हैं तो
Okay, so under Pakistani law, there are certain permissible uses of someone's photography without their permission. Obviously,
without
without their permission.
okay
Basically, when someone is allowed to use your, let's just say you've taken a photograph, and someone is allowed to use it under a very fixed, defined set of circumstances. Obviously, every case needs to be seen on a case-by-case basis, but there are certain parameters that's given. So, for example, let's just say that you are a journalist and you are covering someone's photo exhibition. That's allowed as well. So you're using it to report someone else's work in a journalistic capacity. So that's allowed. You're allowed to use it for your own academic purposes. Let's just say you're doing a research paper on photography in Pakistan. You can use that. You can reproduce that photograph in your research paper. Similarly, basically the intent here of the law is that you do not take undue credit for someone else's work.
okay okay
Okay, so while you're using this, you have to give proper citation.
right
Okay, that this person is the, and it would have to be done anyways when you're a journalist, saying that it was this person's photograph, and and you can even sometimes, even when you're writing a critique of it, so you can critique a work of art, but as long as you think, for example, this is Rabania's picture, and these are things I find wrong with it, these are things I find right. So it's basically like you're writing a review on it, right? So then these are generally speaking, yeah, I mean, there are obviously more circumstances in which you can use, but these are generally like the idea that one should keep in mind is that as long as you don't, as the person who's using your photograph doesn't pass it off as his own or someone else's. Also, you have to, whenever you're reporting that person's photograph, let's just say I am a journalist, I'm writing an academic paper and I'm using your photograph, I cannot alter it. So it has to be just the way it is. Okay, I cannot alter it or attribute it to someone else.
Okay.
Okay, that Pania who took someone else took this picture. So generally speaking, those are the rules. For someone else being allowed to use the picture as well. And also for generally for copyright and works of art, there's also exception for academic institutions or schools. Let's just say I write a play. Mm-hmm. An academic, educational value that's attributed to it. So, for example, my grandfather wrote a play, and it was used recently in Canada. But it's for the students themselves, it's for the teachers, or it's for the parents. Now, if they start selling tickets and start making money off it, that would be wrong. That would be you draw the line. And also, they have to probably attribute the author or whoever took that made that work of art.
Yeah. So, so that means that the nature of work really matters. Like if there is a landscape or if there is, because I'm talking in terms of photography, because बहुत दफ़ा ये होता है कि हम इस तरह की एक फोटोग्राफर है, वो बहुत दूर ट्रैवल करके जाता है, वो बहुत टाइम एक तस्वीर पे लगाता है और वो एक अच्छा लैंडस्केप खींचता है या एक अच्छी कोई नेचर की चीज़ या कोई एक स्पीशी ऐसी हो, कोई वाइल्ड लाइफ फोटोग्राफर्स होते हैं बहुत देर लगाते हैं किसी खास एक एक्सोटिक बर्ड या किसी डॉक्यूमेंट करने के लिए, लेकिन वो नेचर ऑफ वर्क जो है वो अक्सर कमर्शियली यूज हो जाता है कि किसी पाकिस्तान टूरिज्म के लिए यूज हो गया या किसी क्या कहते हैं हिल स्टेशन के लिए यूज हो गया इस तरह से. तो हाउ इज दैट, डज दैट मैटर, डज द नेचर ऑफ वर्क मैटर्स?
In the sense, the nature of work of the photograph or the using
the photograph.
No, so there's no such restriction or differentiation based on the nature of the photograph. For the purposes of copyright law, it's to benefit the tourism industry of Pakistan. The government of Pakistan can take your photograph and put it on their tourism website. Whether they can get away with it or something else, that's an entirely different matter. But legally speaking, they're not allowed to do that, and that's not an exception. They'll have to properly cite you or get specific permission from you.
Okay, so that means that so then if there are images that the same images, if they are used for they're used under information or for research, like you said कि उसकी citation होती है, अगर आप इस्तेमाल कर लेते हो या उसको information या educational point of view से इस्तेमाल कर लेते हो, तो do you think it's the legal process only comes in when the money comes in, as if your work is being used in a book or किसी presentation में इस्तेमाल हो रहा है, लेकिन उसका जो purpose है वो education है या information है, तो that's okay for the artist, it's okay for the photographer until and unless the money is not involved?
And that's one way of looking at it, and I think it's a valid. Obviously, there's more technicalities to it, legally speaking, but that is one way of looking at it. That someone else is not commercially benefiting from your work. So let's just say I am, like I said earlier, if I'm writing an article or I'm giving a presentation, after properly attributing the work to you, the person who took the photograph, and not altering it, I can use it in my academic work or presentation. But the moment I start making money off of it, basically that, and in the sense, not in terms of the article, but this is another thing I need to clarify. Let's just say I write an academic article, right, and I use your photograph without your permission, right? And that article becomes a bestseller. That is fine, because it's the article that's selling, and that's the work that's being sold, not your photograph. If I just take your work, merges into some other work, it transforms into something else. For example, you've taken a photograph, I've written they're two different things. One's a literary piece of work and one's a photograph. That I can exploit that for my own benefit because the nature of the work has changed.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not using.
Yeah. So if the article, like you gave the example of an article, so if the article starts selling, if I have written the article, like I will go to the photographer and say, okay, now this is like, do you think this is the right way to do it? Okay, once I start getting money out of it, I contact the artist and I say, okay, this is like I'm making money out of this, and now I tell me what is your percentage, or tell me like how we're going to deal with, like what's the legal way of dealing with this situation.
You don't have to do that. The person who writes the article, it does not have to do that. I mean, if they want to do that out of their own, अपने दिल से देना चाहते हैं, so that's fine. But legally speaking, no, because you've not copied their work. You are selling an article, not a photograph. The article features the photograph. Let's just say it's an article on photography, up and coming photography in Pakistan.
Yeah.
The professional courtesy, they might want to say, okay, I want to feature your photograph in my article. Can I use it? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be just like a goodwill gesture and all that. But given that in fact it's an academic article using your picture, that's fine. They don't have to take your permission. But just to avoid, sometimes it's more about not necessarily what's legally right, but also what's practically suitable. So in order to avoid future conflicts, they can approach the person and say that, okay, I want to use your picture, can I use it?
Or as a photographer, if I see that my photograph in an article and that article is selling, am I in the position कि पहले मैंने कह दिया था कि okay, you can use my image, but now am I in the position to go to that person who's written the article and say, okay, now your article is selling, so you give me some money out of it? Am I in that position?
No, once you've given permission, you've given. Once again, that depends on the nature of your permission. Let's just say you said that up till a certain point you have my permission, but then I have the right to demand royalties in the future, depending on if you have already contacted a lawyer before you give that permission. But if you just say, okay, fine, you can use my photograph, that's fine with me, then you've given your consent. You can't go back and say, now I want more money.
Okay, so I will say that I was unaware of this registration of a photograph term, okay, or this process, and I want you to tell us what it is, like what the process is, and आप क्यों एक photograph को register कराते हो, not only as a photojournalist because you're working under an agency या इस तरह से, लेकिन just working as an individual or working as a freelance photographer. Why do you register a picture? What's the process? Is it easy? उसके बाद अगर वो कहीं बिक जाती है, कोई पैसे आते हैं या कहीं यूज हो जाती है आपके परमिशन के बगैर, तो उसका क्या सारा सीन होता है?
So the answer is quite lengthy. There's an entire law that I have, but I'll try to summarize it.
Yeah.
And obviously,
I have to ask why artists run away from all this process. Is it because it's very complicated? Is it because it demands a lot of money, demands a lot of time? So, like, simplify it for us. Break it down for us.
Not necessarily the money aspect. Depending if you hire an expensive lawyer. Okay, so let me just clarify one thing. You do not need to register your photograph in order to be legally the owner of that photograph or any work of art. You're under our copyright law. Let's just say you take a photograph. Okay, you are the owner of that photograph, legally speaking, right? You do not have to register it. You don't have to take part in any legal process to do that. However, there is a process to register a photograph. When that requires an application to the Intellectual Property Office, to the Registrar of Copyrights. The application itself is not that complicated. It involves giving an application, a copy of the work, and that you're going to give an affidavit saying that I am the true owner of this work, and simultaneously give advertisement in the newspaper saying I am claiming ownership of this picture, let's say work of art, and this is a way of inviting objections from the public. So if anyone, then this entire process, while the application is being registered, the registrar can receive objections. And these objections are that, no, that person is not the owner of this copy, picture. I'm the one accused of this. So they can contest your ownership of that. If the registrar believes that no, that objection is not valid, then he will uh, register you and you will give you a certificate saying that is this legally necessary? No, but there is a certain advantage to registering your copyright. So let's just say you have a picture, right? And I reproduced it as my own. I'm saying, no, I took this photograph. Or without your permission, I've used it somewhere in my magazine. And let's just say I'm National Geographic. You've taken a picture in the north, and without your permission, I've used it, and I'm using it to basically sell my magazine. You can come to me. What you will do? You will first issue me a legal notice, basically trying to resolve this out of the court, saying that, okay, why are you using my picture? Please stop using it and pay me the amount that you earned, my share of the amount that you earned. I'll say no, obviously. Yeah, I'm not going to pay up. It's my picture. What are the remedies available to you? You can either you will sue that person, right? Now, once you sue that person, how do you prove your case? Okay.
Yeah.
If you've not registered your copyright, then you have to show evidence saying that, okay, this is when I went up to the north. This is the film's negative. This is basically I have to. There's a big burden of proof on you to show that how are you the first owner, and you'll have to show evidence through your travel history, through your any other evidence that you have that I am the owner.
Yeah.
Okay. So that will be a little bit more difficult to prove. I'm not saying it's impossible, and if you have a good trail of or a good record of your photography or your journey, then it will probably be not that hard to prove. But obviously, that process becomes a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, it's a lengthy.
However, well, it depends. Like it can drag on because they can start questioning every single piece of evidence that you produce, right? However, if you have registered your picture as a copyright, right, then all you have to do is show your certificate of registration. That is it. And as the law says, it's a prima facie evidence of your ownership. Basically, that is the only thing you need to show. If you show up in court with that certificate, which is basically a government-approved thing that, the government recognizes you as the owner of this photograph, your case just becomes very straightforward. Okay, you have the certificate, that, but it makes your legal recourse significantly easier. Now, the practical reality is that registration itself is a lengthy process, in the sense that it takes time. Now, I don't know if the government will sue me for this, but our bureaucracy is extremely slow. And whenever, that is why I guess when to answer to your earlier question, people, not just artists, everyone avoids the bureaucracy and the courts. And basically, it's about getting entangled indefinitely in there. Even the IPO's own website says it takes at least 11 months to register.
Which website?
The intellectual property offices, that's the official government authority responsible for regulating copyright. They say that it takes 11 months to register. Now, in my personal experience, that's also very optimistic. It takes, I have known that when we're registering intellectual property, it can take up to 2 years. And that too, with us constantly calling them up and harassing them. And then it still takes 2 years, right? And even that, are no objections. Someone would come along and raise an objection and drag this on for even further, right? So it takes a very long time. That's why I would not advise, like, for example, you've taken 100 photographs, that you register everything in one of them. And if you have a photo exhibition, and you would rather rely on the fact that, okay, I am the owner, legally speaking, you are the owner, I'll take my chance in court if something comes up for it. But then there's, however, let's just say there is one photograph that becomes extremely famous, or, you know, it's very highly prized. Okay, I mean, there's some photographs in history that, like, there's this picture of a guy holding shopping bags in front of tanks on Chinaman Square. There's that picture that National Geographic or someone, Time magazine took of this Afghan refugee that became so famous. Okay, so basically, Afghan girl. So these are like pictures that one would want to get registered because they have much more significant value. So, and to my advice to an artist would be, obviously you don't go around registering all your photographs, because that would be a too lengthy process. But you have to choose which one you value the most, or your permission.
So what if, because it's like the social media time, usually photographers do post their work on social media. ठीक है, मतलब अगर आपने travel किया north में, जिस तरह हम example दे रहे थे, या domestic जो travel इतना ज़्यादा अब हो गया है, तो पाकिस्तान में अगर आप travel कर रहे हो, आप stories लगा रहे हो, आप Insta पे लगा रहे हो, you have a lot of followers on Facebook and इस तरह से, तो अगर आप you have posted something online and you are in the process of registering that one photograph which you think is going famous and can be used somewhere, and then it get used by somebody or some company, तो उसके बीच में क्या होगा? Like, if suppose if your process is like 3 महीने 4 महीने का process already हो चुका है, and फिर आप क्या करोगे? How will you, like,
okay, so the answer is that we've dealt with that a lot, because obviously when it takes 2 to 3 years, then it really does become an issue. Over there, the courts have recognized that, this is a lengthy process. So what you do in that case is, when you sue them, or in the eventuality that it does go to court, you can show that you've applied for it. It's in the process. It's not my fault that it's taking so long. Okay, and that cannot be held against me. So, and the courts have recognized that such evidence, the fact that evidence of your application in itself would be enough to carry your case. And like I said, it's not, you're legally the owner. You still have that recourse, and that you have to somehow show that you own this, or you're the one who took this photograph, and so on and so forth. You already have that recourse, but it will help if you show that you've applied as well.
But then does that mean so much work that is on social media and it is not registered, it is the public property, it can be used by anyone? Like, ठीक है, अगर किसी ने इस्तेमाल किया, उसने आपको क्रेडिट दे दिया, but then if it's not registered, तो कोई कंपनी इस्तेमाल कर सकती है उसको, and then because the process of bringing it up कि I am the owner, it's a very long process. And like I said, कि a lot of artists kind of stay away from the process. So किस तरह से हम, like, in different countries there are different laws about कि whatever is on the social media, is it public property or not. तो अगर हम पाकिस्तान में देखें, अगर आर्टिस्ट अपना काम लगाते हैं तो, और वो रजिस्टर नहीं करते, because पाकिस्तान में I don't think, we'll talk about this, but I don't think that there is this awareness of registering your image, or like going through this process. So if I have,
like I said, you don't have, you're still the owner.
Yeah, but then if I have like 1 billion followers and I have some amazing pictures on my social media, would it be okay that I don't have a registration? Somebody can screenshot it, put it somewhere without my credit, like, even if they give credit, but like, जब
Okay,
ethics
so
आते हैं, like when it comes to ethics, we do say कि okay, you know, like if somebody posts your picture without credit and you find it on Instagram, you say कि okay यार, ethics तो ये कहते हैं कि you ask me or you at least give me a credit, but you know, but when उससे आगे बात चली जाती है, कहीं बिलबोर्ड लग जाता है, कहीं पोस्टर लग जाता है, एंड यू ऑटोमेटिकली डिस्कवर लाइक कि ये कहीं पे किसी ने आपको पिक्चर भेजी है कि योर पिक्चर हैज बीन इज बीन यूज्ड. सो obviously I don't have a registration and my work is on social media which is accessible to everyone, so is it public property? Like,
okay, so the social media becomes slightly tricky because let's just say Facebook. Facebook has its own terms and conditions of use, and to date we still not figured it out what they are because either they're too detailed or not that accessible. But that being said, Pakistani law. I mean, now I'm just talking about the legal
right,
angle.
yeah, I want you to talk about the legal because otherwise it becomes very complicated.
Uh, so under Pakistani law, it does not become public property in the sense you still own it because it is a picture that you've uploaded. You've not said that I want it for public distribution, that anyone can now use it. Facebook's terms and conditions, which I'm not that familiar with, might say otherwise. If once you put up a picture, it's ours and we can do whatever we want with it. Okay. Now, that being said, I don't think the issue, like you said, you highlighted, is necessarily going to be with Facebook. It's going to be with another user of Facebook who uses that picture for themselves. And that person, you do not have a contract with. Okay, you might have let's just arguably some sort of legal relationship with Facebook, but you don't have it with the other side. So that person does not acquire the right to use your picture for his or her own commercial benefit. Like I said, they still have to be bound by Pakistani law, and that they have to give you credit, and they can only use it under the circumstances I mentioned earlier. So if you find out, so once again, you put up all these pictures up on, let's just say, Instagram. Obviously, you can't monitor every single picture that's illegally used without your permission. But let's just say you do find, and this is how copyright law mostly works, especially in Pakistan, where we're not that tech savvy and our copyright law is not that well developed. Is that by accident you discover that someone else is using your picture, right? And when that happens, you can sue them saying, okay, this is my picture, stop using it. And so yeah, and you can either pursue a civil remedy against them, or there's a criminal aspect as well, that they can be fined up to 1 lakh rupees or put in prison for 3 years. That's not happened, but it's still in our books. Alternatively, if there's another route that's available to you, like I said, if that person is trying to be smart about it and he says, okay, this is my picture, I'm going to try to get registered so that I can show the world that it's mine. He will have to advertise it, and you find out about that through the advertisement. Obviously, it requires a lot of vigilance on your part that you have to read the newspaper every day, and you have to get the same newspaper in which he published it. And then you can be the one who files an objection with the registrar of copyright, thinking, wait, don't register this copyright, it's actually mine, and this person is unfairly trying to pass it off as his own. So in that sense, these are the remedies available to you. But obviously, like you said, you can't stop every single person. It's just whichever one comes to your attention. But to answer your point, it doesn't become, another person does not acquire the right to use, just download your picture from Instagram and then say it's mine and use it for his own benefit.
So if you're a photojournalist and you're working under an agency, so where does that, like, I'm only talking about, हम जब बात करते हैं तो हम Nat Geo और Getty Images और इस तरह से सोचते हैं, but पाकिस्तान में अगर हम देखें तो इसका क्या लॉ है कि अगर आप किसी एजेंसी के अंडर काम करें या किसी न्यूज़ चैनल के अंडर काम करें and you're a photojournalist, तो उसका कॉपीराइट किस तरह जाता है, कैसे? बिकॉज बहुत दफ़ा इस तरह होता है कि एजेंसी ही तस्वीरें रखती है, लेकिन बहुत दफ़ा वो इमेजेस जो हैं वो फोटोग्राफर के नाम पर, मच लेटर व्हेन द फोटोग्राफर यू नो हैज रिटायर्ड और यू नो, सो उस तरह की सिचुएशन में बहुत दफ़ा फोटोग्राफर के नाम पे फोटोग्राफर का पोर्टफोलियो दिखाया जाता है कि दिस इज व्हाट ही कवर्ड। सो उसका कॉपीराइट किसको जाता है, उसकी क्या सिचुएशन होती है? Does
So once,
agency has all the rights?
so it really depends on the contract that also is drafted between the employer and employee. So a smart employee might say that, or might insist, although I don't think most companies would agree, that any picture that I take would be my ownership. Okay, and I'm giving a license to the employer to use it, and the employer can only use it with my permission. So even after I leave employment, that person has to pay royalties to me. However, that doesn't happen, and most employers don't agree to that. They say in their contract, usually does say that if whatever pictures you take while you're under our employment are our property, and the law does support that, and the law does say that as if you are generating content or developing a work of art or a photograph and in the employment of someone else, that employer has the right to claim that no, this is my uh, ownership. I have the ownership of this.
Okay,
But
so
depends that they sign.
right. So the next question I have is, if an artist wants to start their own company or an NGO or an art gallery or some kind of business related stuff, what is the process for that?
Well, it really depends. Sometimes the easiest way is you don't set up a legal entity in itself. You just, let's just say you set up an art house or a photography house in your own house or your storage or something like that. You don't have to, you can basically be a sole proprietor of it, which is basically that you run your own business. It's a private, but there are different entities that can be set up. So there's a company and then there's a society. Now, a company normally is only uh, created mostly for where it involves a lot more regulation. So it's usually used for more professional setup, like corporate, it's more like other tertiary sectors. Like and it's usually to manage large businesses or at least significant size businesses. And also there's the no one just if you just set up a company, a private limited company, there's a corporate tax that's applicable on it. There's a significant amount. So normally people don't set up companies unless it is for a proper business venture. So I would not necessarily recommend. There is a not-for-profit company registration, but and on that there's no tax applicable, corporate tax. But it is significantly harder. The process is extremely complicated, and it requires a lot of regulation by the Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan. The alternative is a society. A society is not that regulated. It has one regulator by the name of the Registrar of Societies. Normally, until a few years ago, that was the go-to method for, and because the society's law specifically mentions it has to be for like artistic work and humanitarian work and things like that. So normally that was the go-to method for artists to set up organizations. The problem with that, and because there's also no tax, corporate tax applicable on it. The problem with that is societies have become a lot more difficult to register as of recent. Ever since the International Finance Action Task Force came down heavy on us for terror financing, and unfortunately, most terrorist organizations use societies because they took the benefit of that as well, and because they're also religious purposes. So they use a lot of their funding was done through society. So the government decided to clamp down on it. The point now where, while legally speaking, you get a society registered, it's next to impossible, and societies are not getting registered or at all. entity unless you have to have your own bank account, you have to get deal with the government or enter into big contracts that require them to enter into societies. That require them to enter into uh, uh, entities that are not just one person, that is a collective of people. So yeah, I would not necessarily recommend.
Yeah,
Uh,
something like on the social media, like digitally do a society or like a group or people meeting over there and okay. So so yeah, like we were talking about business and taxes. Like as a freelancer, what is the tax um, laws that I mean, like as a freelancer, like if you're a photographer और आप freelancer काम करते हो and आप इस amount तक पैसे कमा रहे हो जिस पे आपको tax लगता है, a lot of freelancers really run away from the tax thing because they think that they're not doing a job, ठीक है, और like
you don't have a job.
I think we have to admit that freelancers were earning more than people who were doing jobs, like regular jobs. So if you're a wedding photographer, if you're if you're working for a company या अगर आप commercial काम कर रहे हो, especially talking about influencers जो lifestyle के हिसाब से काम कर रहे हैं और digital content creators, and they are earning that much amount that they have to pay tax, but they're not. तो उसके ऊपर किस तरह से अप्लाई होता है सारा लॉ और सारा प्रोसेस के okay, like if you think that there is a big percentage of people who are doing freelancing work but they're not paying taxes, so how does that work?
Well, my advice to them is to pay your taxes. But if you don't pay your taxes
peacefully,
there are certain advantages to paying tax. For example, uh, the government would come after you, and they won't because if you are payable, if you have to pay taxes and you're not paying them, it's a crime. Okay? So there's that aspect. If you've been lucky that the government has not come after you, it's just because they don't have any wind of your activities. Or let's say they do. They don't know about your activities. If the reason why the government has not come after you is because of pure luck, that and they don't know anything about you, that's not really something I would advise. Secondly, paying taxes opens up a lot more advantages with banks, lending, buying cars, or getting leases, getting loans, traveling as well. If you're a taxpayer, it shows, and there's certain advantages. For example, there are certain banks give out certain interest rates for people who are already taxpayers. It's easier to get a loan, or basically the tax rate applicable to you goes lower. You avoid penalties whenever you do decide to become a taxpayer. Register yourself as a taxpayer and start filing your tax returns the better.
So if you are, like I said, like I'll set an example, like if you're a very famous photographer on social media and you're earning a lot out of whatever you're creating, ठीक है, and आपके ऊपर टैक्स लगता है, लेकिन आप टैक्स नहीं दे रहे पिछले कई सालों से, आपको 2 साल हो गए, 3 साल हो गए, काफी सालों से, हाँ,
then you're asking for it.
हाँ, तो आप काम कर रहे हैं, आप पैसे बहुत कमा रहे हैं, आपके फॉलोअर्स बढ़ रहे हैं, you're getting great opportunities out of whatever online portfolio, and आपके ऊपर टैक्स लग रहा है, and then you go to the court to say that I want to register my photo or I want to register my work. Does that have any connection? Is that going to delay your process or something?
No, it doesn't. Legally speaking, that doesn't. But obviously, if the other side finds out, I don't know how they would find out. But if they do find out, they would try to say this guy is a liar. He's not even a taxpayer. They can find ways to malign you. But legally speaking, it has no relevance for your.
But as a law, this person is not paying and this person isn't really sincere to the whole.
But obviously, then you'll have to show that you have to find out how much the other person earns, how much, whether they're even a tax. Basically, there's a lot to prove, but if they do find out, it's bad. But obviously, it has no actual nexus between the registration process. So but that's not to encourage people who are not taxpayers. Okay, stop, don't pay taxes, but you can also get your stuff registered. That's not. I'm not recommending that, but in the entire application process, they don't ask for your tax return, and if that's what you're asking.
Okay, so like I did mention pehle ke art appropriation is a thing. So when one artist appropriates another artist's work, and this is like a term that is used in the art world, it's not something like plagiarism. A lot of artists might, or a lot of artists from a different school of thought might say that this is plagiarism, but it involves one artist picking up an artwork from any time, from any movement. किसी का काम आपने उठाया और उसके साथ आपने थोड़ा सा उसके अंदर कोई एडिटिंग की या कोई चीज़ ऐड की या उसके अंदर कोई ह्यूमर डाला या उसके अंदर से कोई चीज़ रिमूव कर दी, and then you say that this is my work because I kind of gave it a different twist and now the context of that artwork has changed. So when artists do art appropriation, does any of this procedure involves in this movement of art or creation of art? कोई legal process इसके अंदर include होता है या नहीं होता, या it's just it's like creative?
So the thing with that is that in most countries, developed countries, there has been a lot of work, legally speaking, done on art appropriation, right? And over there, in the original work, it has to be a significant enough change that, or it has to change, let's just say, the character of the original painting or photograph. So, for example, I'll give you an example. That let's just say you take the Mona Lisa and you put a bindiya on her and put a chadar over her head or something, or basically maybe put her in desi clothes.
Yeah.
It's obvious that you're not trying to sell off the Mona Lisa as your own, but you're trying to, let's say, come up with an original work of art. And most likely in Pakistan you will not get sued for that. But the reason being that probably Leonardo da Vinci's estate probably was won't be paying attention to Pakistani photographers and artists to come there and sue you. But unfortunately, copyright law, and especially in this regard, art appropriation, is not that well developed, right? So if the nuances that normally would come in, let's just say, an artistic discussion, no, this is actually an original work of art, don't necessarily come into the legal process over here. So if you take a picture and I, let's just say, do alter it significantly, and it kind of shows that, I'm not trying to take credit for your work. I'm taking credit for the addition that I make to the photograph. The other side you can still come up to me in court and explain, hey, it's actually my photograph that they're taking advantage of, and they can go after it because, unfortunately, our judges will not necessarily see that nuance difference. They will say, well, you're not even denying the fact that I have to use your picture. Like, fine, no, that's not covered. So it really, one would side with caution as to not do it, okay, especially if it's a little bit more sensitive. But I would advise, let's just say I want to use your picture appropriated, I would just get your consent in writing. I would advise that. I would not advise you just go with it and just hope that a court will believe you, because they will not most likely understand art appropriation. Okay, they'll see your photograph, they'll see mine, and they'll see the similarity. I won't even deny that it's actually your photograph as me. So they'll just get into trouble. So I would advise artists or photographers to get the permission of the original author.
Yeah, like I think a lot of people are familiar with the works of Richard Prince, how he went people had posted and he exhibited them, obviously with a little changes in the work and or the captions, changing the captions of the work, and इस तरह से करके he exhibited, and his work was sold over billions and billions of dollars, and obviously that became very problematic for people whose work he was using. So that is why I wanted to talk that if it's on social media, how does that become somebody's property? Yeah.
Do that. And even that, even by American standards, where
Yeah.
the nuances are more well, even then it would not be right.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a little thing. It has to be a significant amount. That's the standard. But in Pakistan, that would not apply at all. So, like I said, someone else cannot use your pictures just because you put them up on Instagram.
Okay, so I have a very interesting question. अभी मुझे ख्याल है इस चीज़ का कि because you're talking about the difference between, you know, like internationally different laws होते हैं, Pakistan में different law है, but Pakistan में when it comes to art, we have culturally or issues with censorship. So if issues with censorship, so if so I know a lot of people in Pakistan who do nude photography, right? But then if there is something like that, if you want to register, or artwork that you want to register which has this kind of censorship, which would need censorship, so what is the, like, can that happen? कोई इस तरह का काम है, कोई आर्टिस्ट इस तरह का काम say it is visually maybe, I don't know, disturbing, or people would have problem with it in terms of censorship, तो उसको register करवाना, especially when it comes to photography, because photography can
yeah, basically the short answer is
no.
Sorry, repeat your question.
So I'm just saying, people who are doing nude photography, people who are doing not even like nude photography, of censorship, that those images or that work or that series would kind of spark an argument or would be problematic to the audience. उस तरह का काम रजिस्टर कराना, उस तरह के काम को कोर्ट में लेके जाना और उसके लिए लड़ना, उसका क्या है? वो हो सकता है, वो नहीं हो सकता?
In short, I'll try to simplify this.
What?
Just imagine, I'll try to simplify it, and it's actually not that far from the truth. Whenever you go for registration or permission to get your work registered, just imagine anything that will pass by a very conservative desi uncle sitting over there. And basically, अगर वो कहते, oh hi, ये क्या फहाश मेरे सामने लेकर आ गए हो? Just use that. Basically, something that your parents would object to, ना? क्या कहते हैं? Or just generally, any parent would object to and say, oh, ये दिखा दिया मुझे. It's the standard you would use that it would not get registered. If it's to make it as acceptable to our uncles and aunties, and you have your standard there, that was most likely to get registered.
Yeah, and also we don't have to like really worry about it or register it, because nobody's going to use it that publicly.
But whether you can take advantage of it or not is something else. But you can't, you'll run into trouble getting it. Yeah.
Okay, so like a lot of people are sending questions. इसके एक सवाल मैं करूँगी, उसके बाद we'll take questions. So abhi, uh, like as a lawyer, what do you think that people have this awareness of, like photographers, artists having the awareness of the legal process for their work, regarding their work? Yeah, do you think that people are still very laid back about the whole concept कि अच्छा court में जाएंगे करेंगे, especially with social media, because everybody is putting their work out, and but then with putting your work out there, people are also becoming very conscious where the work is being used, you know. So अगर कहीं काम इस्तेमाल होता है, कोई मैगजीन वाले कोई आपका काम शेयर कर देता है, तो people are very conscious now, especially the young freelancers. They're very conscious कि ओ इन्होंने हमसे पूछा नहीं या मुझे क्रेडिट नहीं दिया या इस तरह से. So do you think that people now people are concerned about it, या do you think people would, like इसका कोई percentage है कि कितने लोग डालेंगे, क्या करेंगे, you know, इस तरह से?
I don't blame them to have that attitude. Like I said, even sometimes when I have to deal with the legal process of registration, all that, even I go there. Yeah. But the point is that I don't know. Also, I don't know that many photographers apart from you. So I don't know. I can't speak for how much they know. But I imagine, and once again, like I said, I'm not a photographer. I don't know the difficulties or complexities. Being an up-and-coming photographer, you need to get your work out as much as possible. You need to have people know about it. So I guess social media is the best way of doing that. So if you put up your work on Instagram and then share the link, it'll be much more easier as opposed to you individually emailing certain people saying, okay, here's an example of my page on Instagram or Facebook, and see the work for themselves, right? So it has made your work much more accessible to a larger audience. So they would have to take that risk, I guess, to get their work out. And with that, obviously, comes the complication that someone might use it. And then you have to be extra vigilant. That's all I can say is that because if you are taking that step, then you should be somewhat aware of your rights, what remedies you have, and what you should be on the lookout for, right, in case someone uses the picture, right? So,
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll just screenshot the questions because the video is going to end 1 hour. We talked for 1 hour, and then let's go live again.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to end soon. खुद से हो जाएगा ये. And then let's talk about the questions that they have sent. Hi. Welcome back.
Good to be back.
So somebody commented that you can use the watermark on your picture, especially like if you're in Pakistan, just put a watermark बिल्कुल फोटोग्राफी के बीच में ताकि वो कहीं यूज ना हो सके. So बहुत दफा इस तरह भी होता है कि बहुत सारे इमेजेस इस्तेमाल कर लेते हैं या कुछ हो जाता है. तो I think we've talked about this in detail. एक ने पूछा पता कि if they use visual arts and they give source credits, does it make it legal? So we have talked about this, but I just want you to give like a very simple answer to this ताकि उनका जवाब उनको मिल जाए. So if you're using some visual arts in your work, I think that means research or आपकी कोई presentation या कोई article, and you give credits, does it make it legal?
Um, if you do it in your academic or research or photojournalistic capacity, but like I said, let's just say I use your photograph for commercial reasons, right? I use it to sell magazines or display in my house or so on and so forth. I give you credit for it, but I don't get your permission for it. That's wrong. Just getting
Okay.
permission alone is not right unless it's for things like that, like journalism. And then it's fine, but you cannot take a benefit out of it, as in commercial benefit.
Commercial, like you said.
But yeah, other than those things, then you have to get specific permission from
ठीक है. So somebody asked, please talk about laws of photography in public in Pakistan. I don't know what she means.
them.
It's slightly I'm confused, but I think especially after talking to you, I think a lot of things are very overlapping and it's बहुत सारी चीज़ों के लीगल प्रोसेसेस हैं लेकिन बहुत सारी चीज़ें एथिकली एंड कल्चरली भी काम करती हैं. मतलब अगर आपने किसी से इजाज़त ले ली है या आपने किसी से बात कर ली है या you had a I don't know, a lot of people now don't really rely on their verbal communications. They do like they try to keep a screenshot evidence of कि अच्छा चलो ये बात हुई है. So I think laws, I am also not very familiar with the laws of photography have doing, you know, in public in Pakistan, but I think a lot of
And displaying them in public.
I think she means by photographing something in public. So I think a lot of things when it comes out there, like when you work, when you're photographing something in public, like when you have your camera and you're out there in the city, I think a lot of things don't really require legal laws, but they require cultural, you know.
Or like buy the picture and that's invasion of privacy. But I can take a picture of your house from outside. I don't need your permission for that. Similarly, there's a ban on photography generally, the government has imposed something like that. That's something else. I'm strictly speaking from a plagiarism point of view, copyright point of view. There can be other restrictions on you taking a photograph, but those restrictions are not to copyright. Okay.
Okay.
The copyright perspective, you can take any photograph.
So what if
it violates any other law?
So what if your that I was photographed without my permission, or and you're not a photojournalist because that's what a lot of street photographers do, and they go out and they take pictures and those pictures get displayed also. And बहुत कम लोग हैं जिनको इस चीज़ का अंदाजा है कि when they're traveling and when they're photographing tribes and groups of people or women, they have to have like a written agreement, especially when they're doing a series or they're working for a magazine. So if your subject comes up, like somebody you have photographed, and they say कि I was not concerned or I was not, you know, it will be on social media, which will be accessible to everyone. Or maybe when I was being photographed, I was given like some 100 rupees, but then this photographer is earning so much out of it. So, uska kya sara scene hota hai?
Okay, so there's a lot of different scenarios you mentioned over there, and like there's no fixed formula for this. Every scenario will have to be looked on a case-to-case basis. But the general rule is that this is a generalization, and I'm trying to simplify it. The distinction is as long as you're not invading someone's privacy. So let's just say you're out at a protest, right? And someone takes a picture of you. That's fine. They don't need your permission. Okay. But let's say you go into someone's house, or basically you photograph them when they are not in a public space. okay, then you need their permission. Okay, that's an invasion of privacy. So it becomes like an issue between your right to take pictures and the other person's right to privacy. As long as the other person's right to privacy is not being violated, you can take a picture or you're outside your car, or a picture of you from outside your car, right? You can take those pictures, right? But for example, you can't poke into their privacy. You have to then get their specific permission. So that's in regards to where the picture has been taken. That's very important.
Okay.
Secondly, in terms of consent, that if you say to that person that okay, and usually ये होता भी है मसला कि you go to a village and you say can I take a picture from inside your house and they like अच्छा क्यों चाहिए and you like नहीं 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 बस अपनी magazine के लिए चाहिए या तो नहीं सिर्फ अपने लिए रख रहा हूँ and you just give that kind of verbal assurance to them and later on it turns out that you use something else. That's wrong. That being said, how will you prove it? So basically क्या बात हुई है?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And a lot of times it can happen if those people take you to court that I didn't understand what was happening and I will kya kehte hain, or I didn't know what I was agreeing to. But that needs to be established or proved and that's complicated. So depending on which party is trying to prove something,
Mm-hmm.
it becomes problematic area. Okay, so
Yeah.
normally to do it, I would like advise if they usually have these waiver forms that's already prepared, and they say that by signing it, you've read all the terms and conditions, you've understood what this thing is being done for, and क्या कहते हैं, and this is the amount that you're being paid for, and nothing else. Usually, that would be an advisable way. So you have written proof that person has signed, and preferably if you are going to some place where they don't know English, in Urdu. Okay, that it benefits you that you have their knowledgeable consent on
Yeah.
written. Okay, I mean it's fine. Technically, you can get verbal consent. How you prove it in court becomes difficult. So
Yeah.
anything so tends to get things in writing.
ठीक है.
And
So
it be layout what you're gonna say, what you want to use the picture for.
so my last question is about archives. Like, what is the copyright when it comes to archives? Like, suppose कि पाकिस्तान की कोई मूवमेंट हुई या ज़िया के दौर में जो मूवमेंट्स हो रही थी या कोई जाहिर है वो जर्नलिस्ट ने कवर की थी, लेकिन कुछ उसके अलावा भी थी, कुछ लोग के अब हम इंस्टाग्राम वगैरह पे बहुत ज़्यादा देखते हैं जो हिस्ट्री के बारे में लोग पोस्ट करते हैं, and those archives are just on Google, like those pictures are just on Google, like it's not from somebody, yeah, you don't know कि किसकी आर्काइव है, किसने खींची है, किस एजेंसी की थी, just the you know pictures like that. तो वो जिस तरह से उसका कॉपीराइट कहाँ जाता है after so many years they're just on Google, or if I say that I want to build an archive of my own, suppose अगर मैं कहती हूँ कि तस्वीर घर के अंडर में एक फोटोग्राफी आर्काइव बनाना चाहती हूँ जो फोटोग्राफी पाकिस्तान की फोटोग्राफी के बारे में है, तो जो भी सारा डेटा बाहर है उसका कॉपीराइट मैं कैसे ले सकती हूँ? इस तरह भी हुआ कि बहुत सारे फोटोग्राफर्स, बहुत सारे फोटो जर्नलिस्ट फौत हो गए हैं, उनका पता नहीं है, the images are just on Google. How do I go through that process?
Okay, so the short answer is that a copyright, the ownership of a copyright subsists throughout unless they specifically give it up. So if they give it to an archive, normally what would happen is, or not normally, what should happen is that you get permission saying whoever that person is submitting that picture to you, you get their permission. Yeah, now it's mine. I can use it however I want it. Okay, that's not how it should happen. So if you are wanting to, my advice to anyone who wants to build an archive is get specific permission from them to use it in any way you want.
Okay.
That you are there, and if it's not registered it, then to by written agreement, one pager saying that, you know what, I assign or I transfer this ownership of this picture to you or however you want to use it.
Right.
So you have to, the one person, just because I put it up on Google.
Yeah, like we have this Citizen Archive Pakistan, but people contribute to their archive, you know, कि ये हमारी स्टोरी थी और ये हमारे इमेजेस थे और हमारे आर्काइव में से पुरानी तस्वीरें निकली या कुछ चीजें लिखी, तो they contribute and it's written that this came from this family. But you know, if I say कि I want to build an archive 1947 के बाद से मैं photography की एक archive बनाना चाहती हूँ, तो okay, so this is the whole thing. This is the process.
And if you're an archive,
yeah,
my advice, wherever you're getting the pictures from, try to find out who its owner is and say that I want your picture. Do I have your permission? If that person says yes, and that's all it takes.
But then if I say that okay, to reach that archive, you have to sign up and you have to pay a certain fee to access the archive. So do I kind of divide the money in some kind of percentage? Yeah,
That depends on the agreement you have with them. There's no law doesn't say okay, this much you get, this much you get. It depends on the agreement. So it's all depending on you. So if they sign up for it, and if your agreement says okay, I will give you proper credit for it, but I am the owner of this photograph. Now I can use it however I want. I can say that's fine. There are some people who say that okay, if I ever you have to use somewhere else, I need to get your permission first. But it is mine. I'm the one who's going to use it, but I need your permission every time I use it. So basically, it depends on how you whatever is agreed between the parties whenever they enter into this arrangement.
Right, right. I want to do another session with you because now after talking to you I have so many situations in my head जो कि मुझे लगता है कि मुझे पूछना पड़ेगा, especially जो मेरी अपनी photography practice है उसके बारे में, because we talked about how street photographers go out and take pictures of people and privacy and ethics. So I think we should do another session. But for now, I think that was a lot of information, and I hope this does like send out the whole, as a photographer, as an artist, also as a responsible citizen, like we talked about taxes and all. So yeah, so thank you